Welcome to Modern History to Growth of European Tensions. We're going to look at the League of Nations. We're going to look at a couple of wars in here, wars in Abyssinia and the Spanish Civil War. So this will talk about how kind of European conflicts helped grow tension in the lead up to World War II. The first activity, you've already done your booklets, so we'll move on. League of Nations. What were the goals of the League of Nations? So, first of all, they wanted disarmament. They wanted to make sure that no one had as many guns as they should have, so that if there was a war, people wouldn't have anything to use to fire at each other. Collective security. The idea was if everyone's together and allied and talking, then hopefully wars won't happen. This was through diplomacy, which is point C. And finally, they actually wanted humanitarian commissions. They wanted to look at how they can work together to help with refugee crises, with droughts, etc., etc. The League of Nations was structured as followed. Please pause this and actually copy it into your books. So you've got the Council, then the Assembly, then the Secretariat. The Council, 9 member countries. Everyone had to agree, had to be unanimous what the Council decided. The Assembly was all countries, and they had 3 delegates, and each person got a vote, and they would discuss the issues and finally vote on them. Finally, the Secretariat was kind of like the executive branch. They actually did the whole running of the League of Nations. They set up the socio-economic structures, so like the World Health Organization today, and Refugee Organization, International Labour Organization. And then you had legal political structures, so the International Court of Justice, Mandates Commission, etc., etc. That was part of the Secretariat. So copy that down. Now, a couple of things the League of Nations did, some very successful, others most certainly not. The Kellogg-Briand Pact was 62 nations signing it in August 28, basically said we shouldn't have war anymore, and nothing ever happened because of it, so we'll move on. The Humanitarian Success, there were quite a few successes to do with the League trying to help out in humanitarian causes. For example, the Health Organization reduced malaria and leprosy. The International Labour Organization worked around the world for the rights of workers and was successful in quite a few cases of actually improving their rights. The Opium Board tried to reduce illegal narcotics trade worldwide. A whole lot of things that we think of as happening in the 80s and 90s, they were doing back in the 20s and 30s. Refugee Commission, looking at prisoner of war issues and repatriation from people that had fled during World War I, and Slavery Commission, trying to improve workers' rights and make sure that people weren't being traded as slaves. The successes of the League, we often look at just the failures, but quite a few disputes were actually solved within the League structures. So the Åland Islands in 21, Upper Silesia, same year. Wimble in 23, we had Greece and Bulgaria almost coming to blows, and that was sorted out in the League of Nations. Iraq and Turkey had disputes in 24 and 25, and finally the Saar Basin. That took quite a while, but was finally solved in 35. Here's a quick map for your perusal, just looking at who actually was a member, who founded, who left after they founded, who joined later and stayed till the end. Yeah, have a look at the green. The green and blue and red and pink dots is pretty self-explanatory. Moving on, we have Abyssinia, the invasion of Abyssinia. This was really the first kind of time that we see the League of Nations being seen as a toothless tiger. Italy decided to invade Abyssinia, that's Ethiopia, in 1935. What happened? Italy was actually a part of the Strasser Front, which was actually against Hitler. There was 3 countries, France, Britain, and Italy. They united to try to fight against Hitler, and it was destroyed by, as it says, secret deals, which undermined its validity. Italy wanted to extend its empire. Britain already had a big enough empire, so did France. They didn't like it, and so Italy went against them and invaded Abyssinia. It was seen as an easy target, so October 35 they invaded. It's about 6 months later, they're still fighting. The Abyssinians were pretty hard to beat, actually. Everyone laughed at Italy because of that. Abyssinia came finally under Italian control, despite sanctions, economic sanctions by the League of Nations, and this really showed just how impotent the League was against the rise of fascism. So Hitler really, Hitler saw this and paid attention. As A.G.P. Taylor says, the League of Nations died in 35 and Hitler watched. Next we have the Spanish Civil War. This was caused by general kind of, whoa, go backwards, by kind of social, political, religious, economic discontent after World War One. The Great Depression hit Spain very hard, and you really had two armed camps develop. The Republicans, who were anti-church, they were left-wing, they were monarchists, they were supported largely by the communists, and then you had the nationalists led by Franco. They were pro-church, they were also monarchists, but they were extreme right-wing nationalist ideologues. So, lasts for 3 years. It was brutal, huge casualties in the country. The country didn't recover for decades. Finally, the Republicans lost. Let's try that again. The Republicans lost. They were supported by the Soviet Union, with the British and the French helping out. And the Germans and the Italians supported much more strongly. They actually went in with some troops. So Hitler kind of tried out a lot of his weapons in this conflict. And finally, the nationalists won out. It once again showed how impotent the League was, demonstrated the rise of fascism was happening, and it really was the start of the British and French appeasing the fascists and not doing anything about them. So just to finish up, here's 3 quick pictures. That's the war happening in 36. As you can see, the Republicans hold most of the ground, but then the nationalists start to get some help in 37 and finally take most of the country in 38 and finish off in 39 by taking Madrid, the capital. So, hopefully that will help you out with growth of European tensions, and we can move on to the next thing we're looking at, which is the historiography of the causes of World War I.